The first thing Emma saw was a German Shepherd lying very still on the broken porch. The dog was so thin that her ribs showed through her dirty fur. Her eyes looked tired, but they also held a sadness that made Emma stop in her tracks. She had seen many old houses before, but she had never found a living soul waiting on a crumbling doorstep. Emma had a simple job that morning: inspect the old house at the corner of Pine Street before demolition started next week. She had her clipboard, her checklist, and her keys. She thought it would be quick. Empty houses usually were. But now, standing in front of the porch, she knew things had changed. The wooden steps creaked under her boots as she moved closer. "Hey girl," Emma said softly, crouching down. "Are you okay?" The German Shepherd didn't bark or growl. She didn't even lift her head. She just stared at Emma with deep brown eyes, full of something Emma could only describe as hope mixed with fear. Then Emma heard it. A soft sound. Tiny, desperate whimpers coming from the shadows behind the dog. Emma leaned forward, careful not to scare the mother. Her heart almost broke when she saw them. 4 tiny puppies, curled up against the rotting wall. They were just skin and bones, their fur dirty and thin. One puppy, smaller than the rest, was curled up tightly on a piece of torn red cloth, shivering. Emma's heart squeezed painfully in her chest. She looked at the mother again. She realized the dog had been using her body to shield her babies from the cold wind. "I'll help you," Emma whispered, though she had no idea how. She quickly ran back to her truck and dug through her lunch bag. She only had half a sandwich left, but it was something. She tore it into small pieces and placed them carefully a few feet away. The German Shepherd lifted her head. Slowly, painfully, she stood and picked up the food in her mouth. But instead of eating it herself, she carried it back to her puppies and dropped the pieces beside them. Emma watched, amazed. Even starving, this mother put her puppies first. "You're a good mama," Emma said quietly, wiping away a tear. The dog glanced at her, almost like she understood. Emma knew she couldn't take them right now. She didn't have a crate or food for puppies, but she couldn't just walk away either. She needed a plan. She pulled a blanket from her truck and gently laid it near the porch, hoping the mother would use it for warmth. Then she placed a bowl of water nearby. As Emma backed away toward her truck, she spoke softly again. "I'll be back tomorrow, I promise." The mother dog didn't move. She simply watched Emma leave, her puppies huddled close to her side. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the German Shepherd's eyes, the tiny shivering puppies, and the way the mother had trusted her enough to accept help. She thought about that smallest pup, the one curled on the piece of red cloth, barely strong enough to lift his head. Emma tossed and turned. She knew in her heart that if she waited too long, it might be too late, especially for the tiny one. "I have to go back," she whispered into the darkness. By morning, she had a plan. She filled a basket with soft towels, packed a bag with dog food, water, and dishes, and even bought a few cans of puppy formula from the store just in case. She didn't know if the mother would trust her again, but she had to try. Driving back to Pine Street, Emma's stomach was tight with worry. What if someone else had found them? What if they were gone? As she pulled up to the old house, her heart leapt with relief. There they were, the mother dog still lying on the porch, her puppies tucked close around her. The sight filled Emma with a fierce determination. This time, she wouldn't leave empty-handed. The next morning, Emma woke up early, thinking about the German Shepherd and her tiny puppies. She couldn't forget the sight of their thin bodies and the way the mother, now named Bella in her heart, had shared her sandwich with them without eating a single bite herself. It was clear that Bella was strong, but she was also desperate for help, and she trusted Emma just enough to stay. Emma filled a bag with supplies, fresh water, dog food, a clean towel, and even some soft toys she had bought from a nearby store. She wanted to give them something warm and comforting. When she arrived at the old house, the morning sun made everything look softer, less broken. The broken porch creaked again under her feet, but this time Emma felt a strange kind of excitement mixed with worry. Would Bella still be there? Would she trust her again? As Emma stepped onto the porch, she saw Bella lying in the same spot, her head lifting slightly at the sound of Emma's boots. Bella's dark eyes met hers, tired but calm. The puppies were cuddled up close to their mother, tiny and fragile. "Hey, girl," Emma said softly, kneeling down and placing the bag a few feet away. "I brought breakfast." Bella didn't move at first. She just watched. Emma sat down cross-legged on the floor, pretending she wasn't in a hurry, pretending she wasn't nervous. She poured water into a bowl and opened a small can of dog food, placing it near Bella. The smell must have been too much to resist. Bella slowly got up, her ribs showing under her thin fur. She sniffed the food and then, carefully, took a few bites. Emma didn't reach out or make sudden movements. She just sat there, letting Bella decide what to do. When the puppies smelled the food too, they squeaked and stumbled toward the bowl. Emma smiled gently, her heart swelling with hope. The smallest pup, Rusty, tried to get up but fell back down. His tiny back leg shook badly and he whined softly. Emma's chest tightened. "You're a fighter, little guy," she whispered. Bella noticed Rusty struggling and nudged him with her nose, trying to help him reach the food. Emma realized something important at that moment. Bella wasn't just surviving for herself. She was fighting for her babies. Her love for them was bigger than her fear, bigger than her hunger. After a while, Emma slowly pulled the towel out of her bag and laid it on the porch, not too close, but close enough. Bella glanced at it, and then, when Emma backed away, she picked it up gently in her mouth. She carried the towel over to Rusty and tucked it carefully around him, like a mother tucking in her child at night. Emma's eyes filled with tears. She had never seen anything so simple, yet so powerful. She sat quietly for a while, just watching the little family. Then, without rushing, she stood up and spoke in a soft voice. "I'll be back tomorrow, Bella, I promise." As she walked back to her truck, Emma looked over her shoulder. Bella was still watching her, but this time, her eyes seemed a little different, not full of fear, but something closer to hope. That night, Emma couldn't sleep. She tossed and turned, thinking about Bella and the puppies lying on that cold, broken porch. What if it rained? What if the demolition crew came earlier than expected? She knew the house wasn't safe. She knew those babies needed more than just a sandwich and a towel. They needed real care. They needed a home. The next morning, Emma made up her mind. She packed a stronger box lined with a warm blanket, filled a container with warm chicken broth, and grabbed a leash, just in case. She wasn't sure what would happen, but she knew she had to try. As she drove back to Pine Street, her heart beat fast. Would Bella trust her enough to let her help more? Would she be able to save all of them? When Emma pulled up to the old house, she saw Bella waiting at the edge of the porch, standing tall and alert. It was like she had been expecting her. And Emma realized something beautiful. This wasn't just about rescue anymore. It was about trust, a mother's trust. And that trust was a precious gift. Emma's hands trembled a little as she lifted the box from her truck. The morning was cool and quiet, the sky painted with soft colors of early light. In her heart, she knew today could change everything. For Bella, for the puppies, and maybe even for herself. Bella stood at the edge of the broken porch, her eyes steady, her body tense, but not afraid. She wasn't running away. She wasn't hiding. It was as if she knew Emma had come to help. Emma crouched down, keeping her movements slow and gentle. She placed the box lined with a soft blanket on the ground and opened the container of warm chicken broth. The smell drifted into the air, and the puppies stirred. Bella turned her head toward the smallest puppy, Rusty, who was struggling more than the others. His little body shivered in the cool air, and his back leg trembled with every tiny movement. Emma watched as Bella did something that made her breath catch in her throat. Very carefully, Bella picked Rusty up by the scruff of his neck and carried him toward Emma. She placed him gently at the edge of the porch, right next to the blanket-lined box. Then Bella looked up at Emma with eyes so deep and trusting that it broke Emma's heart. It was like Bella was saying, "Help him. Please." Emma swallowed hard, blinking back tears. "I've got him," she whispered. Slowly, she wrapped Rusty in the blanket and placed him inside the box. The little pup gave a tiny whimper, but then curled up against the soft warmth. His breathing slowed, as if he already knew he was safe. Emma looked back at Bella, unsure what to do next. She didn't want to leave the others, but she also knew Rusty needed a vet now. "I'll come back for the rest of you," Emma promised. She picked up the box gently and carried it to her truck. As she drove away, she saw Bella sitting tall on the porch, watching her until she disappeared around the corner. The drive to the veterinary clinic felt longer than usual. Emma kept glancing into the box to make sure Rusty was still breathing. Every little sound he made sent a wave of relief through her. When she arrived, a young vet named Dr. Miller rushed out to meet her. "He's very weak," Dr. Miller said after a quick examination. "But he's a fighter. He has a chance." Emma smiled through her tears. "He's already a little warrior," she said, stroking Rusty's tiny head. Dr. Miller gave Rusty warm fluids and a special medicine to help his strength. He showed Emma how to feed him small amounts using a tiny bottle. "You'll have to watch him closely," he said, "but I think he's going to make it." Emma felt something deep inside her, something fierce and protective. "Wake up." She nodded. "I'll take care of him, I promise." Before leaving the clinic, Emma reached into the box and found the old piece of red cloth that Rusty had been lying on. It was dirty and torn, but it smelled like home, like his mother and siblings. She tucked it gently beside him. Rusty nuzzled into the cloth and fell asleep. That night, Emma set up a cozy little bed for Rusty in her living room. She placed the box near the heater and wrapped another blanket around it to keep it warm. Every few hours, she woke up to feed him a little milk and make sure he was okay. Even though she was tired, Emma didn't mind. Every soft whimper, every tiny paw stretch made her feel alive in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. As she sat there, watching over Rusty, Emma's mind kept going back to Bella and the other puppies. They need me too. She knew she couldn't leave them behind, not even for one more day. Tomorrow she would go back for the rest of the family. She would bring them all to safety. The next morning, the sun rose golden and bright. Emma gently kissed Rusty's head and whispered, "Stay strong, little guy. I'm bringing your family home." With a bigger crate in the back of her truck and a heart full of determination, Emma drove back toward Pine Street, back toward the broken porch where hope had first begun. This time, she wasn't just bringing food. This time, she was bringing them home. Emma's hands gripped the steering wheel tightly as she pulled up once again to the old house on Pine Street. The sun was just rising, spreading soft golden light over the cracked windows and sagging porch. The place still looked broken, but today it didn't feel so sad. Today felt like a beginning. In the back of her truck sat a large crate filled with fresh blankets, bowls of food, and a leash. Emma had thought of everything she might need to bring Bella and the puppies safely home. As she stepped out of the truck, she spotted Bella right away. The loyal German Shepherd was lying on the porch, her head lifted, eyes alert. The other puppies were huddled close to her, but they peeked out curiously at Emma. Emma knelt down at a distance, not wanting to scare them. "Hey, sweet girl," she called softly. "I'm back. I told you I would come." Bella stood up slowly, stretched her tired body, and wagged her tail once. It wasn't a big wag, but it was enough. It was trust. Emma opened the crate door wide and placed some pieces of chicken just inside. Then she sat down on the porch steps, patient and calm. Bella sniffed the air. She looked back at her puppies as if checking they were ready. One by one, the pups stumbled to their feet, small, clumsy, and full of wonder. Rusty's siblings were all different. Luna, the boldest, trotted forward first. Max, the biggest, followed close behind, and tiny Daisy stayed near her mother's side, her nose twitching nervously. Bella gave a soft nudge to Daisy and then walked confidently toward the crate. Emma held her breath. Without hesitation, Bella stepped inside. The puppies scrambled after her, their tiny tails wagging. It was as if they knew, somehow, that this crate wasn't a trap. It was a doorway to a new life. Emma carefully closed the door behind them, her hands trembling with relief. She gently placed a thick blanket over the crate to keep them warm and calm. "You're safe now," she whispered. The ride to the shelter was quiet. Every now and then, Emma heard a soft whimper or the sound of tiny paws shifting inside the crate. She kept speaking to them in a calm voice, letting them know she was there. When they arrived, the shelter staff rushed out to help. Ms. Karen, the head of the shelter, smiled warmly when she saw the furry family. "Looks like you've got yourself quite the rescue mission," she said, her eyes twinkling. "They rescued me too," Emma replied, surprising even herself with how true it felt. Inside, they set up a cozy area with soft bedding, toys, and food. Bella walked out first, checking the room carefully before letting her pups explore. The puppies sniffed everything, tumbling over each other and squeaking in excitement. Emma watched as Bella settled down near the food bowls, her eyes finally losing some of the worry they had carried for so long. Rusty's red cloth was placed gently beside the bed, ready for when he returned. Over the next week, Emma visited every day. She helped clean their area, feed the pups, and play with them. Each day they grew stronger and braver. Rusty's health improved too. He was still the smallest, but his spirit was huge. He carried his red cloth everywhere he went, dragging it behind him like a tiny proud warrior. Bella blossomed as well. Her fur started to shine again, and she even let Emma brush her without fear. She was no longer the frightened dog hiding in the shadows. She was a mother, proud and free. A few days later, Emma sat across from Ms. Karen at the adoption desk. "I want to adopt them," Emma said firmly. Ms. Karen smiled warmly. "All of them?" Emma nodded. "They're family. They belong together." The paperwork was long, but Emma didn't mind. Every signature, every form was a promise she was happy to make. When it was done, Emma knelt down beside the crate, where Bella and her pups were waiting. "You're coming home with me," she whispered. Bella licked her hand, and the puppies yipped happily, crawling all over her lap. That night, back at Emma's little house, she opened the backyard gate and watched them explore. Bella raced across the grass, the puppies chasing her, falling over themselves in excitement. Emma sat on the porch steps, smiling so hard her cheeks hurt. Rusty, dragging his red cloth behind him, climbed into her lap and curled up with a happy sigh. "You're safe now," she whispered into the soft fur behind his ear. "Forever." And for the first time in a long time, Emma felt truly home too. For the first few weeks, it was like living inside a beautiful dream. Bella, Rusty, Luna, Max, and Daisy were finally safe, and Emma made sure they felt it every day. Every morning, the sun would rise over the backyard, spilling golden light across the grass. Bella would lead her puppies outside, her tail wagging, her body strong again. The pups chased butterflies, rolled in the grass, and barked happily at the birds overhead. Rusty was still smaller than his siblings, but he was the fastest when it came to running after a leaf or tugging at Bella's tail. His little red cloth never left his side. Wherever Rusty went, that cloth followed, dragging softly behind him like a little cape. Emma's heart grew bigger with each passing day. She turned the old guest room into a cozy puppy paradise. There were soft beds, piles of toys, and even a small tunnel they could crawl through. Bella had her own large bed by the window where she loved to lie and watch her pups play. One sunny afternoon, Emma sat on the back porch, sipping her coffee and laughing at Luna trying to climb onto Max's back. Daisy was curled up in Bella's paws, and Rusty was chewing happily on his cloth. Emma closed her eyes for a moment and breathed in the warm air. This is what happiness feels like, she thought. Just then, a loud knock came from the front door. Emma's smile faded. She wasn't expecting anyone. Setting her cup down, she hurried inside, wiping her hands on her jeans. She opened the door to find a man standing there. He wore a dark jacket, carried a clipboard, and had a stern look on his face. "Good afternoon," he said in a serious tone. "Are you the one who rescued the dogs from the abandoned house on Pine Street?" Emma's chest tightened. "Yes," she answered carefully. "I brought them to the shelter, and I've officially adopted them." The man looked down at his clipboard, flipping through papers. "There's been some confusion about ownership rights. That house and everything on the property technically belong to the city. That includes any animals found there." Emma felt a rush of anger and fear. "They were abandoned," she said, her voice trembling. "They were starving. I couldn't just leave them there." The man frowned. "Normally in cases like this, the city has first rights to claim animals and decide where they go." Emma looked back toward the backyard, where happy yips and barks filled the air. "They have a home now," she said firmly. "They're family." The man hesitated, glancing past her into the house. For a moment, something softened in his eyes. He could hear the puppies playing, could see the warmth and love that filled the home. Finally, he sighed and closed his clipboard. "I don't see any problem here," he said quietly. "Just make sure they're well cared for." Tears filled Emma's eyes, not from fear now, but from overwhelming relief. "I promise," she whispered. The man gave a small nod, tipped his hat, and walked away. Emma closed the door gently behind him and leaned against it, her heart pounding. That night, the house felt warmer than ever.